In the quiet rolling hills of East Tennessee, a story began in the summer of 2021 that would haunt the nation. It's the story of a 5-year-old girl with blonde hair and blue eyes, a child named Summer Wells, who seemed to be simply vanished into thin air. For years now, her face has been a fixture on billboards and social media, a constant silent question. The official case is defined by an unnerving, quiet, seemingly halt in the progress that once saw thousands of searches combining the rugged landscape. But beneath that silence, something else is happening. A different kind of search is underway, one that is louder, more chaotic, and unfolding not in the woods of Hawkins County, but across the screens of millions. For years, it has felt like the trail for Summer Wells has gone cold. The massive ground searches ended, the national media moved on, and official updates slowed to a trickle. But that's not the whole story. While the official search went quiet, a digital hunt has absolutely erupted with thousands of online sleuths dissecting every single clue. They believe they're exposing what may have really happened on that quiet Tennessee road, proving that, while the search for Summer Wells may have changed, it is far from over. To understand the digital obsession, you have to go back to the beginning, to the moment the silence started. June 15, 2021. It was a seemingly ordinary afternoon on Ben Hill Road in Rogersville, Tennessee. According to her family, 5-year-old Summer Wells was outside planting flowers with her mother, Candace Bly, and her grandmother. A little after 5 o'clock, Summer reportedly went inside the family home to play with her toys. Her mother said she told Summer's older brothers to keep an eye on her. Candace says she was gone for only a few minutes, helping her own mother with a knee brace at a nearby camper on the property. When she returned and called for Summer, there was no answer. Panic set in. A frantic search of the house and the sprawling 11-acre property yielded nothing. Around 6:30 p.m., Summer's father, Don Wells, who was at work, was called and told his daughter was missing. He urged Candace to call 911, and with that call, one of the most extensive and perplexing missing person investigations in Tennessee history began. What followed was anything but silence. The response was immediate and massive. More than 100 different agencies, including the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation and the FBI, descended on the rural property. Over the next few weeks, thousands of acres of dense, unforgiving terrain were scoured on foot with canine units. Drones, helicopters, and planes. Investigators looked into every possibility, questioning neighbors, families, and known sex offenders in the area. They looked for any sign, any scrap of evidence that could point to where Summer went, but they found nothing. No sign of a struggle, no credible witness to an abduction, no footprints leading away from the property. The TBI would later say the case was outside of the norm, because usually investigators have at least some idea of what happened within days. An accident, a stranger abduction, or something else. But with Summer, there was just nothing. An informational void. As the large-scale ground searches were scaled back, a profound and frustrating quiet fell over the official investigation. The case grew cold, but public interest didn't. And it was into this void that the digital hunt was born. The internet harbors a vacuum. When official updates from law enforcement dwindled, a global community of concerned citizens and amateur detectives decided to keep the search alive. They became known as digital sleuths. Frustrated by the lack of progress, they turned the investigation from the physical world to the digital one. The Wells family life, both before and after Summer's disappearance, had been documented to some extent online. This digital footprint became the new search grid. Every photograph, every video, every Facebook post, and every TikTok clip was downloaded, screenshotted, and archived. This content became the evidence file for a sprawling, unofficial investigation conducted in Facebook groups, YouTube channels, and Reddit threads. What drives these online communities? For many, it's a genuine desire to help, to see a missing child brought home. They believe more eyes on the case means a better chance of spotting a clue professionals might have missed. They work to keep Summer's face in the public eye, fearing that if the conversation stops, the search is truly over. But there's another driver: the puzzle. The Summer Wells case is a mystery with very few pieces. The lack of physical evidence has led people to look for clues in behavior, in words, and in the family's digital past. The narrative shifted from "Where is Summer?" to "What happened inside that house?" And the primary subjects of the new investigation became the only people who were there: her family, and most intensely her parents, Don and Candace. Now it has to be said that Don Wells and Candace Bly have never been named suspects in their daughter's disappearance. Law enforcement has noted their cooperation. While there have been media reports and statements from Don himself that both parents passed polygraph tests, investigators have never officially confirmed this. They maintain their belief that Summer was abducted. However, in the court of public opinion, their words and actions have been subjected to a level of scrutiny few could ever imagine. For these digital detectives, every interview Don and Candace Wells have ever given is like a formal deposition. Every word is transcribed, every phrase is analyzed, and every perceived inconsistency is flagged and debated endlessly. One of the most discussed topics in the timeline, Candace's account of being gone for just 2 minutes, has been dissected with painstaking detail. Online sleuths have created diagrams of the property, trying to calculate how long it would take to walk from the garden to the camper, fix a knee brace, and return. These amateur studies often conclude it must have taken longer, fueling suspicion about a missing time gap. The parents' demeanor during interviews is another central focus. Dozens of YouTube channels are dedicated to body language analysis, where self proclaimed experts break down every eye dart and hand gesture. Candace, often quiet and emotionally staid, is seen by some as a sign of a grieving mother, while others call it deceptive. Don's more talkative and sometimes volatile interviews are seen by some as a raw anguish of a father desperate for answers, while others view his statements as attempts to control the narrative. The parents' own theories have added fuel to the fire. Don Wells has mentioned multiple possibilities like trafficking, which are amplified online, but they also lead some to questions why he would jump to such specific conclusions without evidence. The contrast between Don's active theorizing and Candace's more reserved statements have also been a source of intense speculation. Inconsistencies, whether real or perceived, get magnified. For instance, some early accounts suggested Summer was last seen walking away from the home, which conflicted with the family's later story of her going inside. While discrepancies like this can be common in the chaos of an investigation, online communities have seized upon them as proof of a cover up. This suspicion only deepened when Sheriff Ronnie Lawson was quoted in the news clips saying Summer's brother had said she walked out of the house, a direct contradiction to Candace's account. This scrutiny is a double-edged sword. It keeps pressure on the case, but it often operates without context or the full picture available to law enforcement. Every verbal misstep becomes a slip-up, and every memory lapse is seen as a lie, creating a narrative of guilt that's incredibly difficult to counter regardless of its basis in fact. If the parents' words became Exhibit A online, their digital history became Exhibit B. Before Summer vanished, the family shared parts of their lives on platforms like TikTok. After she disappeared, this content was no longer just family memories. It was a trove of potential clues. Videos showing the children and the inside of their home were analyzed frame by frame. The condition of the property, family interactions, and the general home environment all came under intense review. Sleuths pointed to clutter as a sign of chaotic or neglectful environment, a theory that gained more traction when it was reported that Summer's three brothers were removed from the home by the Department of Child Services for reasons authorities said were unrelated to her disappearance. The family's own YouTube channel became primary source material. Videos of Don Wells speaking directly to the camera, sharing his frustrations, were raw and unfiltered. To his supporters, this proved his authenticity. To his detractors, the videos were full of red flags. Even old photos took a sinister meaning. A picture of Summer seemingly asleep in a car with a head on a milk jug circulated widely, with commentators suggesting it was a sign of neglect. Every detail was scrutinized for hidden meaning. This digital hunt has also spurred real-world action with mixed results. Some true crime YouTubers have traveled to Hawkins County to conduct their own searches, often with sensational video titles promising a breakthrough. In one instance, a search of a local lake turned up a barrel, sparkling a brief frenzy of speculation before it was proven to be completely unrelated. This constant churn of digital evidence has created persistent, unproven theories that now dominate the conversation. They range from accidental death that was covered up to trafficking to the idea that she simply wandered off and succumbed to the elements. These theories, born from digital analysis, have taken on life of their own, often presented with as much authority as official police statements. It's impossible to talk about the digital hunt of Summer Wells without acknowledging its complicated impact. It's a new frontier in true crime culture, and it's both powerful and problematic. The undeniable good is the awareness in an era of short news cycles. The constant online chatter has kept Summer's case from being forgotten. The Amber Alert for her remains active. In August of 2025, the TBI released a new age progressed photo showing what she might look like at 9 years old, hoping to generate fresh leads. This sustained interest puts pressure on law enforcement to keep the case a priority, and that pressure sometimes coincides with action. In November of 2025, a lead prompted investigators, including the FBI and TBI, to conduct a new search at a location on Van Hill Road, about 9.5 miles from the Wells home. While officials remained tight-lipped, the search itself showed the case not entirely cold. However, the negative side is deeply troubling. The TBI has repeatedly had urged the public to stop reporting social media rumors and official tips. They've explained that this flood of non-credible information bogs law enforcement down, forcing them to waste precious time vetting baseless theories. The digital hunt can also be incredibly harmful. The Wells family has been subject to a relentless campaign of harassment and accusation. Don Wells has spoken out about the pain this has caused, stating the negativity on social media adds to his family's agony. At the center of this is a family that has lost a child, and the online attacks add an immeasurable layer of suffering. The digital space has also become a breeding ground for misinformation. Fake AI generated videos and channels have emerged, publishing easily debunked lies, including false reports that Summers' remains have been found, simply to generate clicks and profit from the tragedy. Operating without rules of evidence or the presumption of innocence, these online forums can quickly become echo chambers where unsubstantiated theories are repeated until they accept as fact. The line between helping and harming is incredibly thin in these digital spaces. If you want to continue exploring these complex cases with us and learn how to separate credible information from the noise, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out. Years after she was last seen, the search for Summer Wells continues on two very different fronts. On one, there's an official investigation, quiet, methodical, and bound by the rules of evidence. It moves slowly out of the public eye, waiting for a single credible lead to break the case open. The TBI maintains that all possibilities are being explored and they haven't ruled out foul play. On the other front is a digital hunt, a loud, chaotic, and passionate storm of public opinion. It's a place of both commendable dedication and dangerous speculation. It has kept Summer's memory alive, but it also has created a whirlwind of misinformation and pain. The shocking truth behind recent searches is that the most active ones aren't being done by law enforcement in the hills of Tennessee. They are being conducted by millions of people on their phones and computers, searching through old photographs, rewatching interviews, and debating theories in the digital town square. While the ground search bar may be over, the search for truth is more active and complex than ever. Somewhere between the methodical silence of the TBI and the roaring noise of the internet, the answer to what happened to Summer Wells is waiting. Until that answer is found, a 9-year-old girl with blonde hair and blue eyes remains missing, and a nation is left for a resolution that may never come. If you have any credible firsthand information about the disappearance of Summer Wells, please do not post it on social media. Report it directly to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation at 1-800-TBI-FIND. Thank you for watching.